Hey guys, it's Elena Giselle, and we are outside today, so a little bit different. You guys can hear the water, maybe some birds and stuff. I am in Alaska, so this is what passes for summertime. I'm gonna let you guys see a little bit before we, kind of get started. You can get a little glimpse of how pretty it really is. Today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite books. I really love to read. I don't know if I've ever talked about that before, but I really love to read books, and so I wanted to share some of the ones that I've really been loving, some of the things that I've been looking forward to, and a couple of really special things to me. So we're going to talk about some of the book series that I love most. These are not including Harry Potter because I do love Harry Potter. So this is one of my favorite series. This is the Wrinkle in Time series by Madeleine L'Engle, and it's very cool. It's sort of like a combination of fantasy and science fiction, and you get a really cool female protagonist, and she gets to go on really cool adventures. I don't really want to outline the entirety of the series, although the books do get progressively stranger. I do want to let you guys know that I just discovered that there are more books than the original trilogy. So, A Wrinkle in Time. There was a new movie that just came out. A Wind in the Door, right there. And A Swiftly Turning Planet. It talks about this brother and sister that are the children of some really famous scientists that go on some really amazing sort of adventures through space and time. It's incredible. And of course, love may or may not be found along the way. One of my other favorite series is The Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander. This is the first book, which is called The Book of Three. Disney attempted to make a movie about this series, but it failed miserably because they tried to fit 3 books into the space of one animated film. The film was called The Black Cauldron. So the main character in these books is Taran, who is the assistant pig keeper, and because he's chasing after Hen Wen, the prophetic pig, which will make more sense if you read the book, or really read the series. Because he's chasing after Hen Wen, he ends up going on really amazing adventures and finding his sense of being a warrior, which is what he wanted all along. It's a really cool series that is very fantasy and adventure, and kind of talks about finding yourself through meeting new friends and sort of trying things that are outside of your comfort zone, which is really cool. I really love it. The sun is in my eyes. How fun! One of the books that I was sort of introduced to relatively recently, because the 2 series that we've just been talking about were introduced to me by my dad, because they were books that he loved when he was a kid, and so I really love sort of getting to share that with him and seeing how they're still relevant and still really amazing today, even years and years after they were written. But this one is relatively new. It was introduced to me by my aunt, and this is called The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and it is amazing. I love it so much. It's a relatively big book, but it's amazing, and the storyline just keeps you coming back for more and sort of getting pulled into this story. It's about an innkeeper who, it turns out, may not be the standard innkeeper everyone thinks he is, as he begins telling this story to a chronicler whose mission is to write down stories of the fantastic. So this guy who's telling the story is the innkeeper, and we get to find out who he is and why he's special, and it's really quite incredible. So, speaking of my aunt, she is a pretty amazing woman. and she actually wrote this book called Your Resonant Self that I really love. I know that it's a little bit different than maybe some of the other books that I've been telling you guys about, but Your Resonant Self is a book that helps you understand how your own brain works and enables you to be more sympathetic to yourself and to listen. And that's something that I personally really struggle with. And so the fact that I was given, literally, it like dropped into my lap, this opportunity to listen better to myself. And I feel like once I finished reading it, reading, but working through it. There are guided meditations throughout the book as well. It doesn't look very big, but it does provide you with a wealth of knowledge, and it's really incredible. And so I really think everyone should read this book. And not just because it was written by a family member who means a lot to me. Sort of in the same vein of that book, we have this one, which is by one of my favorite bloggers, Leandra Medine. It is Man Repeller, Seeking Love, Finding Overalls. I don't know if it's everyone's cup of tea, but this is a book that's sort of a collection of essays about Leandra Medine's life as she sort of navigates being a woman in today's time and what that means, and whether or not it is not exactly wrong, but whether it's still valid to have a career based on being unattractive or being perceived as unattractive, and whether or not falling in love and finding someone who you want to spend the rest of your life with makes that sort of characterization obsolete. I really love it. It made me laugh. It made me cry. That's all I really need from a book, if I'm being honest. Alright. Here we go into some of the other books that I've been reading recently. I literally just finished Girl Online this morning. I really love it. I do blog. Little shameless plug right here. It's called Mixed Adventures. Girl Online is a story about a girl who starts an anonymous blog because she has these really awful things that are happening to her, and then something really bad happens at school and she ends up going to America because she's from England. So she ends up going to America for vacation and meeting someone special. It's a good book. And I will be completely honest, and this won't make very much sense to most of you, but I will say that I don't think I have hated characters as much as I hate Ollie and Megan in this book. But I do think everyone should read it. And there are a couple more books. I think there are 2 more books in this series that I have not read yet, but I will keep you guys posted. So, another book that I'm really loving, well, this one is very small. If you're more into like comic books, this is for you. This is Bingo Love by T. Franklin. By T. Franklin. And I met T. Franklin at Emerald City Comic Con this past year, and she was amazing and lovely. And this is a story about 2 girls who fall in love and then are separated because they are not allowed to be in love, and then find each other again later on in life, and it's really wonderful. Very uplifting. Again, I laughed, I cried. Loved it. Alrighty. Now, I hate classics. I don't ever want anyone to show me Pride and Prejudice. I don't like it. I don't like Great Expectations. I had Great Expectations for Great Expectations, and they were dashed against the rocks. So, I picked up Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott, and I did not think it was going to go well. I thought it was going to be dry and boring, and it's not. I love this book. This book combines these amazing characters in this world where Robin Hood, I was going to call him Peter Pan, he's not Peter Pan, where Robin Hood and his merry men end up saving the day, and you get these two relatively strong female characters, and you have sword fights and intrigue, and it's so good. I love it. I think everyone should read Ivanhoe. Even if you hate classics, give it a try. So, since I know I said I hate classics, but Ivanhoe went really well, so I decided to try East of Eden. I'm going to try that. We'll see. I'll let you guys know how I get on. The Three Musketeers, classic. I do love adventure. I love sword fights. And Don Quixote. And Don Quixote is actually the next book I'm going to be picking up since I did just finish Girl Online. So I'm looking forward to Don Quixote, kind of seeing the adventure, fighting some windmills, thinking that they might be dragons. I'm pretty pumped. So here we go into something that's also really exciting. This series, I love it. I'm going to mispronounce her last name. Victoria Aveyard, I think. The Red Queen is the first book. It says, Red Queen, Power is a Dangerous Game. This book is so good. I love it. I love it so much that I went out and bought all 3 of the other books that are set in this world. So, the main character's name is Mare Barrow, and she lives in a world where there are the reds and there are the silvers. And the silvers are like in the upper echelons of society, and the reds are not. And the silvers are held in such high esteem because they have these amazing powers. But then Mare, who is a red, turns out to have some really cool powers too. So then people are trying to figure out what on earth to do with her. And there may or may not be a rebel uprising along the way. So, you guys with me so far? This book is called Cruel Crown, and it is a collection of 3 stories from different characters who we get introduced to in Red Queen. Oh, come on! I hope they're coming from somewhere nice, or they're coming here to do something nice. Alright, so, Glass Sword is the next book in the series. So Cruel Crown is sort of like a little aside, I think. And Glass Sword is the next book in the series. So you can see that. Yay! Blood! Everyone's favorite. I don't know what it's about yet, but it is a continuation of Mare Barrow's story. And then the last book in the series, which literally just came out really recently. Ooh, and this says, there's an exclusive. It says the map of the Scarlet Guard's strongholds are inside. I'm really excited. If you've read any of these books, then you kind of know something about that. But I hope that me being excited makes you excited too. This is the dramatic final installment in the Red Queen series. So, I'm really excited. I love these books. I love to read. I did another shameless plug. I just started a Goodreads account, and I set my goal at 50 books for 2018. I've already read 22 books this year. So, that's Elena Giselle as well. If you guys would like to check that out, maybe be my friend, that would be wonderful. Now, here comes something near and dear to my heart that's not books. Sorry, guys. This game is called Codenames. It's one of my favorites. It is a game where you need teams. Super fun, but I never have enough people in one place at a time in order to be able to play. But I did just start game night with a couple friends of mine, and we do have enough to be able to play, so fingers crossed. I'll just bully them into playing this game with me. Speaking of bullying people into playing games with me, Quelf. This game is so fun. So Quelf is kind of like Canoe, if you've played that. There are these colored squares on the board, you roll the dice and you move your avatar along those colors, and then there are corresponding cards for each color. And so the card might be a rule, like, oh, you specifically, who's drawn the card, has to laugh whenever someone else laughs. That's actually one of the rules in this game. And then there's another one that was like, anytime you roll a 1, you have to say, all hail the Chinese cheese biscuit. So things like that. And then there's also trivia questions that they give you. And there is also, what else? Oh, so you also have sort of like concentration, if you've ever played concentration, where you sort of have to think of things that fit a specific theme. And then if you repeat or if you hesitate, then you have to take the penalty, which is moving back a specific number of squares that's put on the card. And then you also have other colors that have other things. But it's a really, really fun, and it's fun for all ages, because it was a group of us who are college students, and I think that we would have had just as much fun if we were all 8 years old. That's all she wrote. Bye, guys.